I choose people whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they've climbed the greasy pole. They want to be famous, they want to be influential, they want to be...
What if the royal love story we were sold was nothing more than a meticulously crafted illusion? A spectacle polished so well it captured the hearts of millions until the cracks became too obvious to ignore. With Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, every layer peeled back doesn't reveal sincerity or grace. Instead, it exposes a brand built on contradictions, scandals, and a kind of hypocrisy that even Hollywood would hesitate to script. Meghan once set her sights on becoming a modern-day Diana, the beloved people's princess. But instead of rising to that role, she's morphed into the Duchess of Drama, staging emotional appeals like a reality star fighting to stay relevant. And Harry, once a respected soldier, has slipped into the role of Meghan's public relations partner, repeating victimhood narratives as though caught in an endless loop. What once looked like romance now plays like a series on Netflix gone wrong, where the audience has stopped clapping but the cast hasn't noticed. And now, Tom Bower isn't just lifting the curtain on the act, he's tearing it apart, revealing secrets Meghan hoped would remain buried.
They want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
To be honest, I spoke to very few of Meghan's friends because she had practically forbidden anyone close to her from talking to me. Bower explained, I sent out dozens of emails, and the majority never even responded. That silence speaks volumes. It paints a picture of someone determined to keep her past sealed off, terrified of what might come out if people started talking. And it's here where the whispers begin to grow louder. The notorious yacht girl allegations, the inconsistencies in her own stories, and the relentless fixation on a Diana legacy she could never truly claim. But here's where Bower takes the narrative somewhere darker. He argues that Meghan and Harry aren't challenging the establishment at all. They've become the establishment manipulating optics, staging moments of suffering, and spinning narratives for profit. The irony is staggering. The more they speak, the less convincing they sound, and Bower makes it clear what he uncovered isn't just gossip. It's a calculated strategy Meghan hoped no one would dare expose. From the very beginning, Meghan's fascination with Princess Diana wasn't admiration, it was strategy. While the world remembered Diana as a woman defined by compassion and tragedy, Meghan treated her legacy like a script she could step into. Tom Bower describes her as someone who studied Diana's every expression, every gesture, and every camera angle, rehearsing them until she could perform them herself in public. But authenticity can't be staged. Every calculated head tilt and every forced tear came across as performance, not sincerity. Instead of sympathy, people rolled their eyes. And Harry, rather than guarding his mother's memory, seemed to hand it over for Meghan to repackage into her own branding exercise. The result, Diana's humanity was reduced to Meghan's imitation, a cosplay that cheapened the very mystique she wanted to inherit. The public saw through it instantly. Meghan may have dreamed of being crowned as the new Diana, but what she delivered was a hollow imitation, a discount version that eroded her credibility with every appearance. And Harry, blinded by infatuation, went along willingly, turning Diana's story into yet another chapter in their endless victimhood saga. What once carried sacred meaning became a stage prop, and once that line was crossed, there was no way back. I remember inviting Meghan Markle, whatever her name was then, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf event, one contact recalled. She was just one of the girls on set, even played caddy for my guests. So when she suddenly stepped into the spotlight, I thought, how is this going to unfold? According to Tom Bower, what followed was darker than anyone imagined. Meghan's attempt to model herself after Diana was only the surface. The rumors surrounding her so-called yacht girl past cast a far more damaging shadow. Bower doesn't sugarcoat it. He points to whispers Meghan desperately wanted erased, accounts of her mingling on private yachts with billionaires, playboys, and Hollywood's power brokers. Not as a breakout talent, but as someone who understood the true currency in those circles: charm, proximity, and calculated positioning. It dismantles the rags-to-riches tale Meghan has always sold. Instead of climbing through auditions and hard-won roles, the story that emerges is one of networking on the water, leveraging connections while later claiming she had made it on her own. And Harry? He knows these stories exist, yet still clings to the fairy tale version, standing by her side as though the past can be rewritten. What Bower suggests is brutal. Meghan didn't stumble into royalty. She strategized her way there. Meghan's Hollywood climb wasn't built on auditions or raw talent, it was built on access. She attached herself to the right players, surfed the right circles, and ultimately secured the biggest prize of all, a prince too naive to realize he was another stepping stone.
I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could, so I sent off dozens and dozens of emails.
Bauer's claim is sharp, but it resonates. Meghan didn't wander into royalty, she pursued it step by calculated step. And if her past was cloudy, her present only added layers of contradiction. In one moment, she claimed she barely knew who Harry was before meeting him. In another, she boasted she had tracked his every move. Sometimes she played the clueless outsider, other times the shrewd strategist. You can't be both victim and mastermind, yet Meghan tried to embody both roles at once. Bauer insists this wasn't confusion, it was strategy. Each story bent depending on what would earn sympathy or prestige at the moment. But the inconsistencies piled up and the effect was damaging. What audiences once viewed as charm began to look like manipulation. Harry, meanwhile, nodded along, unaware of how staged it all appeared. Bauer even uncovered evidence that Meghan had been searching for wealthy men in Britain as far back as 2013 and that her sights were firmly set on Harry. These contradictions weren't harmless slips. They exposed Meghan as someone willing to twist reality whenever it suited her, and the more she spoke, the more people stopped believing. The palace noticed, Hollywood executives noticed. Soon, the entire world caught on. Instead of appearing as a strong woman fighting against the odds, she came across as someone desperately trying to keep her script from unraveling. Harry, once admired for his blunt honesty, now looked like a co-star in a production where truth didn't matter, only optics. Bauer argues Meghan's inconsistencies weren't accidental. They were deliberate, yet clumsily executed. Each time her narrative shifted, her credibility eroded further, accelerating her downfall. By the time Netflix and Spotify deals began to crumble, it was obvious the damage was self-inflicted. Hollywood doesn't invest in brands soaked in scandal, and Meghan quickly became one. Not because of palace conspiracies, but because the industry doesn't gamble on reputations built on contradiction. The opportunities didn't vanish on their own. Meghan and Harry squandered them, turning promising projects into spectacles of complaint and self-pity. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue to secure million-dollar payouts for projects that produce little to nothing. Netflix alone ensures their bank accounts stay full. Yet beneath the surface, the reality is bleak. Hollywood thrives on reinvention, but Meghan's constant spinning of her own story only exposed her as disingenuous, and with Harry trailing behind like an understudy, the awkwardness became impossible to ignore. The same celebrities who once posed beside her for photo ops now avoid her entirely. In that world, reputation is everything, and Meghan's has plummeted faster than her ratings. She branded herself as a feminist champion and a progressive voice, but when the spotlight dimmed, that carefully constructed image fell apart. Instead of admiration, she was left chasing sympathy, and Hollywood, quick to sense desperation, kept its distance. Each failed venture, each cringeworthy appearance only confirmed the truth. Her influence had been inflated all along, and now the illusion had burst. Tom Bauer's harshest revelations don't just target Meghan's past or her fading career. They cut into the heart of her marriage. From the very moment they went public, it became clear Meghan wasn't positioning herself as Harry's equal, but as his director. She fed him lines, shaped his interviews, and slowly recast him from a once-respected soldier into a sidekick whose only role was to echo her grievances. This wasn't romance. It was management disguised as love. Every photo op, every hand squeeze, every staged Diana-inspired moment was crafted to reinforce Meghan's dominance over the narrative. And Harry, he surrendered without resistance, abandoning family, country, and identity to become a prop in her ongoing campaign for relevance. The tragedy lies in what's left of him. A man once admired for his loyalty and courage, now reduced to a hollow version of himself, awkward, bitter, and visibly lost. Bauer paints it plainly. Meghan didn't just marry Harry, she rewrote him, stripping away his essence and repackaging him as her accessory. This isn't partnership, it's manipulation, and the cost is Harry's very sense of self. When sympathy began to run thin, Meghan reached for her most controversial card, her children. Tom Bauer details how Lilibet, in particular, became woven into Meghan's carefully timed narratives. Instead of shielding her daughter from the glare of publicity, Meghan appeared to treat her as a headline generator, releasing photos or stories at moments when her own reputation was faltering. The pattern was unmistakable. Images where Lilibet was half hidden, stories about name disputes with the Queen, sudden mentions coinciding with fresh scandals, all crafted to shift the spotlight. Each move seemed less about maternal instinct and more about controlling the narrative. And Harry, instead of protecting his daughter, stood silently by while she became part of a larger PR game. Bauer doesn't soften his conclusion. This wasn't motherhood. It was strategy. Meghan didn't protect innocence. She leveraged it. Every calculated reveal chipped away at public patience, leaving the impression of a woman willing to use even her children as tools for image management. To the world, it looked less like love and more like exploitation dressed as parenting. When Oprah sat down with Meghan and Harry, the world expected clarity. The interview was billed as their defining moment, a chance to explain why they walked away. Instead, it became remembered for exaggerations, half-truths, and shock value. What was meant to elevate their story only cemented doubts about their credibility. The Netflix series followed, packaged as a cultural milestone but unraveling into hours of self-indulgence. Rather than appearing as icons of change, they came across as serial complainers, unable to step out of their own victimhood long enough to see the audience slipping away. What was once marketed as their biggest stage became a global eye roll. Every move Meghan made looked calculated, every speech laced with opportunism. Harry, reduced to her shadow, seemed more bodyguard than husband. Together, they projected not empowerment but desperation. Hollywood, once intrigued, now saw them as radioactive, a pair whose relevance depended more on pity than respect. Careers don't implode overnight, and reputations don't crumble by accident. What happened to Meghan and Harry was the predictable clash of ambition against reality. Meghan believed she could outwit the palace, outshine Hollywood, and outmaneuver the press. Instead, her empire cracked under the weight of its own contradictions. The brand that once sparkled with royal glamour now lingers as a cautionary tale of arrogance and overreach. Bauer's conclusion is merciless. Meghan isn't the modern Diana she once dreamed of becoming. She's the warning sign of what happens when ambition swallows authenticity. Strip away the polished speeches, the staged photos, and the carefully rehearsed tears, and what's left isn't a rebel couple rewriting history. It's two figures clinging to relevance while the world moves on. Even Meghan's wedding hinted at her real intent. The guest list leaned more toward California celebrity than Windsor tradition, leaving Harry's closest friends sidelined. She never planned to remain in Britain. The plan was always stardom. Bauer exposes this truth with brutal clarity. Meghan isn't the misunderstood outsider, and Harry isn't the revolutionary prince. Together, they're the headline of a fading spectacle, an empire of contradictions collapsing in plain sight. And yet, as devastating as these revelations are, Bauer warns there's more waiting in the shadows. The whispers about those elusive yacht photos, images Meghan would do anything to bury, make today's bombshells look tame. That scandal looms like a storm she can't outrun. If you want to see the secrets that truly shook her to the core, don't miss my previous breakdown, Meghan Markle Unhinged, where Colin Joe's exposure of those leaked yacht images takes this saga into even darker territory.